Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. We're coming to you this morning and with a better voice. I have to tell you, folks, not that you are that interested, because I wouldn't be. Might have been the worst cold I've ever had in my life. It's a little better today. My nose was just pouring. I mean, it would just not stop. I couldn't even talk because it was just pouring all the time. It was the strangest thing. Went on for like 4 days, and it's a little better today, thankfully. So the Mike Francesa channel we're on the Bet Rivers Network on YouTube, and I think we can not have that be a major factor. I don't have to play hurt today, or at least I can play at least a high enough level to it won't be a problem with my voice. Now here we go. Um, to the Soto first. Um, the question that everyone seems to ask is why. That seems to be the after everyone got over the initial shock. Yankees lose, Mets win, seismic shift. We all know that stuff. Cone becomes the king of New York. All that stuff. We've been through that. Okay, now everyone wants to do the why. Why did he go? The Yankees offered a lot of money. Why did he go? Well, first of all, the Yankees didn't offer as much money as the Mets. If you take the Met offer apart and deal with the signing bonus, the front loading, everything else, the opt out, he could wind up paying Soto about eight and change. So it's not the same. Number one. Number two, these are the things that he offered and could give the Soto that the Yankees couldn't. Number one, you're the guy here. Judge is the guy with the Yankees. Does it matter? Who knows? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Then you're dealing with a guy who makes fortunes into bigger fortunes. When people get to a certain level of wealth, you know what their magic number is? More. That's their magic number. More. He tells them, I'm not only going to give you this all world contract, I'm going to show you how to double it. I'm going to show you how to be a real player, not just a player, a real player. I'm going to show you how to be a billionaire. And I'm sure to someone like Soto, that was very, very appealing. It would be appealing to anybody. I'm sure it was very appealing to him. Okay. He's out there. He's out trying to get the most money. He's showed himself to be a hired gun. He's bounced around all over the place. He's played out his options. He doesn't mind moving to different teams. He came here and he put his career on the line and said, I'll play for my contract. He played brilliantly for it. He won as big as you could win. And now he goes to a guy who tells him, we need a player. Here are the resources. You tell me we need something, I get it. You're the man. We want to win. I'm going to make you richer than richer than richer than richer than richer. And away we go. So it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. Now, there are those who have tried to minimize the Yankee loss. You can't minimize the Yankees' loss. The Yankees took a big hit here. You had a guy in his prime who the Yankees coveted, who turned around and walked to the Mets. The days of the Yankees dominating the Mets financially or in any other way, having this aura of superiority, is over. It's over. But one thing has to be completed here. Does Has Cohn fulfilled his promise? Economically, yes. Has he become the guy? Yes. He still has to get the hardware. He doesn't have the trophy yet. Until they have the trophy, it's not complete. Until he's coming down the canyon of Herons with a big dumb smile on his face and a trophy in his arms, it doesn't feel real because it's not. It's not complete yet. That has to happen. And that's now what is now the pressure and the burden and the responsibility that he and the Mets now face. They no longer want to win, need to challenge. They now have to win. Otherwise, it is bitter disappointment, something the Yankees have lived with for a very long time. But understand this, the Yankees are no longer the Yankees. That's all there is to it. Not like you knew them to be. They are still a major market force. They are still a team that wins a lot of games every year, but they are no longer the Yankees as you knew them, where they had an air of superiority and a dominance that was tangible. They no longer have that. Now, Yankees turn around, go to plan B. We've heard so much about plan B. It starts when they go out and sign a very talented pitcher to an absurd contract. That contract is so much an overreaction to not getting Soto. It's unbelievable. That is the worst contract for a pitcher I've ever seen. I mean, you want to give a 30-year-old pitcher who's been injury prone? Is he talented? Yes. Does he give up home runs? No. Is he a really good pitcher? Yeah. Is he durable? No. He's 30 years old. You gave him an 8-year contract. I don't care how much he makes a year. That's fine. 8-year contract. I wouldn't have given him a dime over 5 years. I would have had trouble giving him the fifth year. 8 years is one of the dumbest contracts I've ever seen. But this was the overreaction. They had to go out and make a splash. Now they still have other things to do. I know everybody wants Tucker. Tucker'd be perfect. The Astros and the Yankees despise each other. They're not making a deal. The Astros would rather give him away in the street before they would allow him to go to the Yankees. There's not a chance in the world. These teams hate each other. They can't even be in the same room together. You think they're gonna make a deal? A big mega deal? Not in this lifetime. If they make a deal, I've seen everything. So it's not gonna happen. The thing you fear with the Yankees is that they don't get it. That they still compound the same mistakes and go out and get an aging, on the downside, visibly sliding ex star who's right handed. They don't need Arenado. Is Arenado been a wonderful player? Yes. Do you want him now? No. Do you want Walker now? No. Is he good? Yes. He's 34. Don't you get it? First of all, you want to bring in guys who are athletic. You want to bring in guys who are youthful, and you want to bring in guys who are optimally left-handed. How many times do you have to get this through your head? This is the Yankees, left-handed pitching, which Fried is. I'm not knocking the Fried addition. It's a wonderful addition. The contract is ridiculous. So be it. That's just giving you the comment on the contract. Contract's stupid. Now, do I want Arenado? No. Do I want Walker? No. Do I want Bregman? No. I don't. I don't want any of them. I want them to play some youthful, athletic players. And if they have to make do at first base for a year before they maybe go after Guerrero, then so be it. Hey, I don't know what Dominguez is going to do. They got to give him a chance to play. I think he'll hit 30 home runs. He might make a gazillion errors. You put him in the outfield. I could live with Dominguez, Grissom, and Judge in the outfield. I could live with that. And get a fourth outfielder. You can decide where he comes from and who he is. But more than that, they need to fill third base and first base. Figuring Chisholm's going to second base, which he should. Okay. And he's athletic and he's young. And I think he's going to get smarter and get more consistent. He played with an exuberance last year. He played with an athleticism, but he didn't play well, especially in big games. They still have their big, thundering, thumping righties. Okay, they're there. Jonathan Stanton are there. Don't you see what Soto brought having that kind of lefty? Now, no one is going to be Soto. You can't replace him with one player. You don't have to. They have to, as we've all seen in so many times, we've all seen the movie. Okay, they have to replace him in the aggregate. And they need to do it by bringing in guys who are younger, athletic, and hopefully left handed. There should be some imagination in these moves. There won't be. They'll probably sign Walker. Bad player? No, good player. Good fielder. Guy's going to hit 25, 30 homers. He's 34 already. He's going to want at least 3 years to come here. You don't want to get tied down in that contract. Arenado's willing to change his position. The guy's one of the great third basemen of all time. He's going to be willing to change his position looking for a team. And look at his numbers the last couple of years. He's gone straight downhill. He's not the same player anymore. And his big years, you know where they were, don't you? Yeah. He played half his games. You know where? Again, the Yankees have to not panic here. See, the problem is the Soto void means they have to make a splash for their fan base. It's now keeping up with the Joneses. They have Soto. They've brought in, they'll bring in another big player. They might bring in two big players. Who knows how many players they're going to bring in. And for the Mets now, the Yankees now have to keep one eye on the Mets, just like the Yankees have always been there and just been this over all encompassing white light that has just melted the Mets for decades. It's over. Now the Yankees they're not where the Mets used to be. No, they're not in that position. But they are no longer in a superior position to the Mets. And they have to live with that. And now they need to go about their business, build their team, and try to do exactly what the Mets are going to try and do: win championships. They got to the World Series last year. They brought in the hired gun. They had the stadium filled every day the second half of the season. There was a real excitement back in the Yankees last year, and then they couldn't get it done in the big spot. They didn't get it done in the big spot. And then we all knew how this became a showdown. I never thought there were any other teams seriously in this. I didn't think he was going to the Dodgers. I never thought he was going to the Red Sox. I never thought he was going to Toronto. I thought it was between the Yankees and the Mets, and I thought the Mets had a big upper hand, and they wound up getting him. And it was a big hit for the Yankees. And for the Yankee fan who acts all like the old time Yankee fan, the haughty Yankee fan who looks down on the Mets and says, hey, go ahead, go over to that bunch. They're not that bunch anymore. They're now every bit your equal, if not better. And they're richer and they're more powerful. Now, they have to prove they can bring that product to the market and win. No longer is it about the Mets proving they can sign the player away from the Yankees. No longer is it about them rocking the Yankees world. They rocked it. He came in and you guys wanted him to rock the Yankees world, and he did. And he rocked it in the biggest way he could possibly rock it. And he accomplished that. It's accomplished, but it's not what the final accomplishment is. That's the hardware. That's the championship. And that now is something that right now the clock ticks until the Mets get it. And it's a burden that gets heavier each passing season that you don't accomplish it. With this new position that the Mets have, with this new position that they hold in the spotlight, there's pressure. Remember, for every action, you get a check. For everything that happens, there's a check. You pay in some way. And here now you pay with the heavy burden of expectations. That's how you pay if you're the Mets. And if you're the Yankees, you've got to just let this go and do your thing. And remember, you are the Yankees. Okay? And listen, if I were negotiating against the Yankees and I was Cohn or I was Stearns, I would have said, hey, they're IBM, they're Intel, we're NVIDIA. That's why you go with us now. They're yesterday, we're today. That's what I'd sell. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. That's what I'd sell. Because you know what? The Yankees are IBM. They're a little bit forgotten now. No one thinks about them dominating the sport anymore. One World Series in 15 years, and it was a poor showing. Do they get back there? We'll see. They have some holes to fill. Let's see how they how they fill them, and let's see if they do it with some smarts rather than just do it to try to win December, win the back page, and not build a team that is right that can win in October. The Dodgers beat them with a superb performance by Freddie Freeman, but they also beat them with depth and athleticism. They played the game better than the Yankees did. And the Yankees have to acknowledge that. They have to play the game better. They have to worry about all facets of the game and not just about hitting home runs. And don't ignore the idea of what lefties mean to the Yankees. For a long time, they did. I thought they rediscovered that last year, which was a big part of it. And Soto was such a big part of that. Don't ignore that now and bring in a bunch of aging right handed hitters again. Don't go that route. It's not the way to go. Now, let me tell you about the newsletter. Sign up for the Mike Francesa Podcast newsletter at mikefrancesapodcast.com, where you go, okay, you go to the newsletter, sign up, whatever they ask you to do, and they're going to put some different videos on there that will only be seen there. But there's going to be all kinds of things you can win. There's going to be all kinds of merchandise. I've already seen some of the stuff they're putting together, jackets and t-shirts and caps and hoodies and all that stuff. It's nice looking stuff. It really is. So uh, you'll be able to get that. So you go to the newsletter. It's not going to cost you anything. Check it out. So do that today. Go to mikefrancesapodcast.com and sign up for the newsletter, which will be, I believe, coming out in the next couple of days. So be looking for that. Now, check out the all new prop packs exclusively at Bet Rivers. Place a qualifying NBA same game parlay and you'll receive a prop pack. You'll you'll earn extra rewards from your player card based on the number of points he scores. So you can open rare cards that have a top prize of 10,000 in bonus credits. 10,000 in bonus credits. Terms and conditions apply. See the Bet Rivers app for full details. Tear into the action. I told you that I really believe today is the 11th of December. The college football playoff, which we have not experienced before, begins with the home games on in the first round on December 20th. This is going to be what it is, a made for TV product that will be staged first at these home sites. And look at the home sites that you're talking about in the first week. Look at the home sites and the crowds, the scenes you're going to have at Ohio State, at Penn State, at Notre Dame. This is going to be sensational. This thing is going to be an absolute home run. It is going to be bigger than big. And you see, just like there's a March Madness, this is going to become an annual, very much, it could even expand to a couple more teams. This is going to become, just like you fill out your bracket, there'll be a bracket, and eventually you'll start to play the brackets the same way you play the brackets. It's not going to be as big. You're not going to have as many teams, but you are going to have college football played that way. And it is going to be an extraordinary bonanza. as a product, as an entity to itself, as a marketing tool, as an advertising tool, as a TV ratings tool. It is going to be an absolute bonanza. Mark my words, you are seeing this on the ground floor. This thing is going to be stupendous. Can't miss. I can't wait for it. I mean, Indiana playing Notre Dame for the right to move on in South Bend in prime time. Oh, give me a break. Tennessee playing in Columbus. Oh, I mean, these are unbelievable games. This thing's going to be sensational. And that's only the first round. It's going to be real. I can't wait. It is. The possibilities are unbelievable. I wish I could own it. That's how special it will be. It will be that good. It really will. I want to get to some emails, but before I do, one thing I've been thinking about, and I'm going to come up with a plan because I decided watching the Jet game last week. I decided that I don't want to see the NFL ever go to a gimmick overtime. Like I don't like the college overtime, but I understand it. I don't like it though. I don't want to see them go to anything like that, and they won't. And the playoffs are different anyway, so we know it's sudden death. But the regular season, where there has to be a time limit because they worry about injury with the players, and the players are very conscious of that too. But I really don't, by my count, 1/3 of the games have been won by the team that got the ball first and just came down and scored. I want to come up with a system where everybody at least touches the ball once. I don't want to extend the game. I thought I might extend it possibly 2 minutes more, and I'll give you the reasoning why. I'm still coming up with a couple of different things, wrinkles for it. But I want to come up with a plan for the regular season overtime that allows both teams to touch the ball. So if they score a touchdown, you get a chance to come back and score a touchdown. And then it's sudden death, but at least you've given both teams a chance to have the ball. This one and done, you see, offense has become so dominant in the league in critical spots, especially with flags and everything, that I don't like the idea of the team just winning the toss and winning the game. I want to see that, and I understand. I understand the premise, okay, of overtime, and there has to be a finality to it. But the point is, I think in this regular season one, where you do allow ties, and you'll always allow ties because they won't let you play forever, I think we can come up with a way for them to allow them to at least touch the ball, even if they give up a touchdown. Now, one of the things I'm thinking about is whether or not I make you go for two automatically on the first touchdown. Like there's no extra points because that will create more drama and also create you won't get the 7 here, 7 there automatically. Now you have 2-point conversions involved. So instead of that, you take the percentages way down for the try, and you make them go for two automatically. So you're not allowed to kick an extra point in overtime. It's one of the things I've thought about. I'm still debating how I want to set up the rules, but I want to try. What I'm trying to come up with is an overtime plan that allows both teams to touch the ball. I feel very unsatisfied when a team gets the ball, drives right down the field. Like Lions get the ball, drive earlier in the year, drive right down the field, boom, into the end zone, game's over. I don't want to see that. I even one big play, one big flag, and the game's over. I just think there should be more of a fairness to it. They took out the bing, bing, bing field goal. I think we can do the same thing on the touchdown. and at least allow both teams to touch the ball. Then after that, there's nothing you can do. There's only so much you can do. But I think it's something I'm working on. So I will have it for you soon. I've been fooling around with it, but I just feel there's an something can be better for that overtime. That overtime can be better in the regular season. I'm not touching the postseason overtime because we know that you're playing until sudden death. You're playing to a winner. But I also might change that rule where if you get scored on the first time you give up the ball, you get the ball, you can get the ball there too. I think that would change in there too, and that would make that more dramatic and I think more equitable. So I'm going to come up with the think about how I got to check all the different ins and outs of the whole thing. How long it should be. They wouldn't give me more than 2 more minutes, even if I could squeeze 2 minutes out of them. I was thinking that 10 might be too short if you're going to give the ball to each team. But I don't want to make it 15. I tried to make it 12. So I'm still going over a couple different things on the try, how to play the try. But I'd like to come up with a plan that at least has both teams touching the football because I don't like the overtime that doesn't do that. I really don't. All right, let me get to some uh, emails. You can send me your emails at mikefrancesapodcast at gmail.com. Mike Francis podcast at gmail.com. Peter starts us off. Do you think the NFL will ever adopt a lottery draft like the NBA? No, I do not. Mike, this is Michael. Understand why Josh Allen, Barkley, and Lamar Jackson are getting most of the attention when it comes to the MVP conversation, but curious why Goff gets no consideration, considering how potent and how good his quarterback rating is. He doesn't because the feeling is that he is a product of that offense, and I agree with them. He's playing behind the best offensive line in the league. He's playing with incredible skill position people who are deep. He's got two backs. He's got a good tight end. He's got a bevy of receivers. He's got explosiveness. He's got a great offensive line. He's got the best offensive lineman in the league in Panay Sewell at right tackle. Um, so I think the MVP of the league, the way I look at the MVP is this. I don't look at the statistics. And sorry for the running back, but it's a quarterback. I'm sorry. I'm going to wind up giving them to a quarterback. I pull the guy out of the team. How bad is the team? That makes it very close. But based on this year, I would give it to Josh Allen. Peter, I read that the Mets are not expected to be in on Burns. Why? Because the Mets think that they have a pitching protocol. The Mets are very, as an organization now with Stearns, they feel that they have a pitching protocol and a pitching laboratory that fixes pitches. So they want to do, they're doing what Tampa does. They will take a pitcher that they view as someone that they feel has a very high ceiling if they fix him properly, and often move his role from starter to reliever, reliever to starter, and rather than go out and buy the big starter. They proved that very, very significantly last year. They reclamated Severino. They did it with other pitchers. You have to say that they are very good at it. So I understand why they then want to go out and get the guys that they feel fit that role rather than go out and buy the high shelf guys. And right now, starting pitchers at the top of the market are getting stupid money. And the Yankees started the thing going and even solidified it by giving out an outrageously dumb contract. Kyle, any thoughts on the Hall of Fame? Yes, I'm. Thank you. I wanted to mention this. Dave Parker's a really good player. I have no problem in making it. This is about who I call Richie Allen. 1964. Two guys broke in that I was fascinated with. I loved hitters. I love to follow hitting. I like to hit. I like to play baseball when I was a kid. I like to hit. I followed two hitters that came into the league that year that fascinated me. One actually came in the year before in the American League. His name was Tony Oliva. The Twins. Left-handed, slasher, not a home run hitter, but hit some home runs. Threw his bat at the ball. Hit no idea of the strike zone. Up, down, in, out. Magician with the bat. The other broke in with the Phillies. His name was not Dick, which later on they started calling him Dick Allen. He wanted to be called Dick Allen. I never got away from calling him Richie Allen. Richie Allen was one of my all-time favorite players to the point where I used to go to Shea Stadium just to watch him play. I went to see him play when he was on the Phillies. I went to see him play when he was on the Cardinals. I went to Yankee Stadium to see him when he was on the White Sox. I loved Richie Allen. I would say that he was one of my two or three favorite players growing up. Obviously, we know who first was. Okay. Richie Allen was very close to my second. Let me say this about Richie Allen making the Hall of Fame. Don't ever question whether Richie Allen was a Hall of Famer. Richie Allen should have been one of the greatest players who ever lived. He had that kind of talent. He got in the Hall of Fame now, which I know his family's very excited about. And he basically was one of the great wastes of baseball brilliance of all time. Bobby Bonds was probably one of the others. Richie Allen should have been one of the great hitters of all time. He wielded a 40-ounce bat. He was a power hitter who could hit the ball a country mile, who I saw hit the ball out in the Shea Stadium over the second fence into the parking lot off a bus, but could also hit 300. This guy won MVP with the White Sox, carried the team. When he had his head in the game, and he often didn't, he liked the ponies. I think he liked some other excesses of life. He liked the ponies a lot. I know his brother Hank Allen was a horse trainer. I have no problem with anybody who likes the ponies. This is one of my favorite players ever. I was thrilled that he got in. And like I said, Richie Allen had a borderline Hall of Fame career, but he was an all world talent, not a Hall of Fame talent. He was a guy who could have been Mickey Mantle, Hank Aaron, Frank Robinson, Babe Ruth kind of talent. That's how talented he was. He didn't always pay attention. He didn't always take it seriously, but he had a terrific career anyway. And when he was on his game, there weren't many players better. He was an incredible hitter, as feared a hitter as you could. When he was in the box and on his game, you didn't want to face him. Let me say this too. So I'm really glad he made the Hall of Fame. And I've always called him Richie Allen. Dick Allen is hard for me to say because I always say Richie Allen. But in deference to his family, I'll say Dick Allen. Um, Rocky Colavito died today at 91. I saw Rocky Colavito play. Rocco Colavito from the Bronx, who actually had a stint with the Yankees, who not only was a deadly right-handed power hitter, also possessed one of the great throwing arms in the history of baseball. Actually came in and pitched a couple of times and pitched well. He had the proverbial gun. When you hear about the great right field arms, Furillo, Clemente, Evans, okay, Ellis Valentine. Nobody had an arm any better. Joe Pepitone had an incredible arm. Rocky Colavito, Rocco Colavito had one of the great throwing arms of all time. And Cleveland gave, well, listen, they traded Harvey King for him in a very controversial trade. The Tigers were a really good team in '61. The Yankees were a juggernaut, one of the greatest teams of all time. Tigers had a really good team. I mean, a terrific lineup. And he had he had an amazing season. In '61, I think he had 45 homers and knocked in 140 runs. Remember, it was an expansion year. They all had a lot of big stats. Malin Maris, Malin 54, Maris at 61. Rocco hit 54, hit 45, and had 140 RBIs. He was really a wonderful, in an era where it was about right fielders and the great throwing arms. And he used to discuss, that's a part of the game that's been lost. You didn't go first to third on this guy. You didn't try to tag up on this guy. And in those days, when you'd go to a game, you'd see infield practice and you'd see outfield throwing before the game. And you would just marvel at how these guys could throw the baseball. They don't do that stuff anymore. But what an arm. What an incredible arm. And what a wonderful baseball player. And a real slugger. I mean, if you go through the era of the late 50s into the early 60s, the only guys who hit more home runs than Rocky Colavito in that 6 or 7 year span were Mantle, Mays, Aaron, Frank Robinson. I don't even think Maris did, because Maris hit 133 in 3 years, but that was it. Those other guys, he was right. I think he was fifth behind those big four, behind Mantle, Mays, and Killebrew. Mantle, Mays, Killebrew, and Frank Robinson and Hank Aaron, 5 of them. So he might have been sixth. That's how big a home run hitter he was. He would hit 40 home runs those years. He was a wonderful player. He passed away. May he rest in peace. The great Rocky Colavito. Suru. I know Montas and Holmes elicit confidence for the Met fans as starting pitchers. Hey, again, this is what we're talking about. The Mets, right in front of your eyes last year, turned straw into gold. They spun straw into gold with these starting pitchers. Not with just one of them, with a couple of them. They see things. They want to turn Holmes into a starting pitcher. He's got stuff. That might work. Okay, I always knew King was going to be a big-time pitcher. He doesn't have King stuff. But he could be an effective pitcher. And, the Mets, they deserve the benefit of the doubt with these guys. They've done it before. Hey, have some confidence in what these guys did. They've done it before. But here's the one thing you have with the Mets as an incredible backup. They can always go out and add anybody they want whenever they want. Nice thing to have. That's why they're now. I know I had so many people ask me to say it. I won't say it. I will not yet. Until the Mets win a championship, until they win a crown, I will not call them the varsity. It would appear the Yankees have $500 million to spend after signing Fried. What's next? It's not the way to go about this. That's not how to look at this. And I'm afraid, the way the Yankees are looking at it, Chris, is exactly like that. They've already made one dumb contract. Don't add any more. Build the team properly. Forget Soto. He was your hired gun. He was your mercenary, just like David Cohn was. They've had hired guns before. He was a hired gun. He came, he left. I understand he broke your heart. He broke a lot of hearts. You know, it was just a gut feeling. But one time in the summer, I was talking to Susan, and I said to her, Susan, I don't think Soto's a Yankee. I just don't think he's a Yankee. And I don't think it came down to that. But I don't think that Yankee stuff meant anything to him. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't have to mean something to every player. And frankly, a lot of Yankee fans are holding on to that. That still means a lot more than they think than it really does. Doesn't mean as much as you think. Not in today's world. We'll see you later.